I'm the eldest of the family. I was born in Invercargill, raised up in Christchurch. This is my little sister Bridget, you might know her. First 5 years of my life was pretty okay. My first hiding was at 3 years old. It's my introduction to family violence. My dad always hit us with something, he never hit us with our hands, because he felt that it was safer in that way, because my dad would lose control if he used his fists. So growing up, I started to steal probably at an early age, and that was to get back at my father, because he hurt me, I hurt him, and one of his pet peeves was stealing. He wouldn't mind violence, but he just abhorred or hated stealing, because my father worked very hard for what he had. We went to grew schools with great racism down south was pretty full on both sides of my family. But my mum's European and my dad's Samoan, but you feel a lot of hate because of the hatred between family members towards your parents, and that just filtered down. Schools are very racist as well, very violent. So you learn how to fight pretty quick. Moved to the islands, culture shock. Because over there, you don't have people here that will come in and protect you. Like the hidings over there on another level. Like I see full-on kids just getting punched out, just getting beaten to the pulp. My uncle he broke his ankle, and so his foot would go either side of his calf, so he couldn't walk, or he chose not to walk. So he'd make his kids sit down and tell them off, grab a big boulder and drop it on their knee, so they couldn't run away, so he'd give them a home. So, introduction to that, we were pretty all right, but my dad, when he drunk, not so okay. I bore most of the violence because I'm the oldest, because as the eldest, you have responsibilities, and if you don't adhere to those responsibilities, or you don't perform to the way my dad wanted, it was a lesson we had to learn. When I come back to New Zealand, I try to assimilate back into the culture, try to go back to school, but my first week I was made to look like a fool. One of the fifth form deans was quite racist and just humiliated me in front of them, so I robbed her. And so from there on, that's when I started running away from home and just trying to survive, pretty much, living on the streets from 13, 14. So my criminal history started early, but in the system. My PRN number is 2039380, my 808. That will stay with me for the rest of the life. I never know where I'll get it. Won't be able to get clean slate either, so I won't be able to try and go to like Australia or the States or anything like that. I don't know what my name was, stuff like that. Introduction to prison. Today you guys got systems put in place so that you don't go to prison, and they will try and help you as much as possible as they can. But when I was growing up, they tried as much. I think Kingsley was the boys' home at that time. I went through there, then CT, which is corrective training, that's where you step up to the next level. Did 2 of those, and then prison. And the straight prison is you're just a more men, you're not in other youths like yourselves. You just have to be strong, think for yourself, or get in your life. It was quite intimidating at the start, but you just, for me, I survived. So I will learn the systems and what systems in place. I will learn who's the boss and who's not, and what I can and can't do, and then I will try and push the boundaries because that was just my nature. I remember the skinhead, he was quite old, but he's passed away now. Come up to my people, spat at me, and I thought, oh, okay, cool, called him back out, and went to do it again, and then I tried to stab him through the people with a pencil, just to make sure that people understand that you can't do that. And so from there, like you're bred, I was on the end of the old school era of prison, you're bred for violence. That's all you do. You wake up, you have breakfast, 6:30, in the yards, you train for 2 hours, just PT, physical training, then another 2 hours straight after that for fight combat training. And it was quite unique because in Christchurch prison, you had natives versus Pākehā, right? So it didn't matter if you're Mongol Mob or Black Pearl or whatever gang you were, if you're a native, you stuck together. And you trained together, you fought together. There was no in-house fighting unless it was from the outside, and even then, you know, you had to be smart about how you do things. The problem with me was that I loved being a criminal. So when I understood how that works, I grew up on it. That was me. I was entrenched in it. So you know, I was robbing other inmates. I was torturing other inmates. I had to be bad enough for people not to mess with me, but also if they did, there's a big consequences. I wasn't a gang member because for me, to be honest, if I didn't listen to God and I didn't listen to my parents, I wouldn't listen to the government. There's no way I was going to listen to anybody else tell me what I can and can't do. So I decided to stand on my own 2 feet and be me and just wreck me. And so you had to be dangerous. You know, there's a lot of things that I'm alleged for that are not proven, but you know, if they were, I could do a long time. You know, we don't have that statute of limitations in New Zealand, so if you commit a crime today, they can do you 20 years from them. You can't run away from them, you can't hide from them. When I got out, I was erratic. You didn't, like my family, I loved them and they loved me, but they didn't know what Daniel they would get. Would they get the, you know, I'll go out all night committing crime, or I'll come home and be violent, go out with my mates and go look for trouble, come off with school, come home, hide, just peeking. So it just, that fueled itself. There was no never ending cycle of I just want to be in prison, because jail was the only thing that had structure in my life. Like 3 square meals a day, you had a routine in yards. I got my education in prison. Like I got my level 2 NCEA. I probably should have my level 3 NCEA now that I'm out. But I did well in prison. I thrived in prison. I don't want to glorify the things that I did, but I just wanted to know the things that, you know, like when it's difficult to try and say I was not a very nice person. Like even to my friends, I would have fun. My fun would be I'll be talking to them, and then I'll let a shirt on fire, and then just watch them go up in flames. You know what I mean? Like I would say to somebody, "Oh, you can't sit here." And that fella goes, nah, and then my other mate would put a plastic fork through his face. You know what I mean? It's not that's the environment. Like, if you can stand on your own 2 feet, you'll be okay. But if you can't, then you join a gang, but there's no way. No matter how hard you try, prison's different from when I grew up. And like you learn to cook, You learn to farm, you learn woodworking, you learn joinery, you learn all these things, you get an education in there. Today, you're just in with other people who are very angry and just want to fight because they just had enough. You know? In 1999, I tried to go straight by myself. I thought, you know, I'll try, you know, stay out of trouble. Got into a relationship. I had a son who's 21 now. He's 22 this year. I couldn't do it because I didn't want to be like my father, so I walked away from the relationship. Because I didn't have the education or the support network behind me, I made the wrong choice and went back to Christchurch. I made a silly mistake, which years later, my brother committed suicide over the mistake that I made. I didn't, you know, wasn't planning on to it, but that's the part of self-destruction. So I ended up just getting back on the drugs, getting back on the alcohol, and then one night going out in town, I was looking for violence. I was angry because I lost custody of my son. My son was probably the most important thing in my life because it was the first time that I felt that, you know, my son was everything. First time I had responsibility that wasn't over myself. And when that was taken away from me, I had no way to deal with the emotions that I had. That one night we got into a fight and I took it to another level where I just smashed the person over and then just dragged him to his house and then robbed him, which in turn got me 6 years for kidnapping. And then went back into prison and it was like I never left. So I spent 3 years, probably the longest time I ever spent at that time was 3 years. So when I went back in, the scenery had changed somewhat, but the people were still in prison that I knew from when I was coming back in through as a kid. So I already had a reputation in there as well, and then just went back to normal. It was getting real bad at that point because I was robbing inmates in front of prison guards, and they just wouldn't look. You know, I was stepping up prison guards. One of my mates, Lance Farfor, who's a prison guard, one day I just picked him up, ran him into my cell, jumped on my bench and did the old people's elbow onto the bed as a joke, but normally that would get someone sent up to Perry. And that's where I was trying to get to, because in prison, Pirimonemo is the be all and end all to go up to Maxi, to survive Maxi, and to establish my name some more. But in June, 25th of June, the day before my birthday in 2007, I was turning 30, I looked at this mobster, Robert Celia, who was in there when I was in there as a kid, and he's like 60 years old. It just dawned on me, man, like, am I going to be like him? Am I going to be like some old dude, you know, running around with a reputation that's no longer viable, but still, you know what I mean? And that's the day that I gave my life to the Lord. He helped me quit smoking cold turkey. 17 years now since I had a cigarette. But still, you know, I still do the drugs and all that sort of stuff. But as time goes, everything started to go away. You know, stop doing the drugs, stop doing the alcohol and all that sort of stuff. And then come up to Mataka, my mum was about to, she was on a deathbed. I got to spend my, I had to go out and see my mum in cuffs and watch her die. And then went back to prison. I was in the violent prevention unit at the time. So I was trying to change my life around. I got out from that 6 years. I ended up doing 5 years, 9 months. Within 10 months, I was back in jail for home invasion up in Kandala. Went in there to rob some people. Come back, went to jail again. Ended up getting 3 years. The judge tried to give me more time for the charges were worth, but I got out of it, but I still had to do it all the time, get out, do the 6 months. But this time it was pretty right. I've been out for jail for 11 years now. I've had to change a lot of attitude, a lot of behaviour, because if you don't, you end up just end up in that cycle and you'll never get out of it. So even though I still got out, I still was stoner hard. Like I get stoned every day, like every day. Go to work, I was a functional stoner. Drinking as well. But as time goes, God was working His way in me. So I'm drug free and alcohol free for 2 years now. I worked for Fulton Hogan. So for me to get a job at Fulton Hogan, I had the manager of the North Island region come in to interview me because of my past history. And he said to me that I wasn't going to get the job, but at the end of the day, God is good, and He gave me the job. And I've been with Fulton Hogan for 18 months full time when I got the contract, and 6 months before then. It's been a hard yard, like. Because people still piss you off, and you've got to combat that because your older self will come out and you will try and resolve issues the old way, because some people just don't listen or don't understand, but it's not their fault. They're just on their own journey, and I have to learn to be more adaptable in that scenario. My advice is that change is good now for you guys, because you've got that time to, get things right. If you, want to go down that path, as you get on, it gets harder in life because the doors just close. There is no opening. People, they don't want to give you the benefit of the doubt. They're good. So you always have a choice. That's the main thing, you always have a choice. Any question?
Do you still in contact with yourself?
No. I had a conversation with him, but that bridge is burnt, I think. I think it's because the gap was too far away. The doors was open for him to come in, but it's his choice. It was his.
And I guess from a family member's point of view, like Daniel's the eldest and I'm the third oldest, and I guess it's hard as a sibling. It's hard to see. It's hard to see your brother go through stuff, but the one person that you're supposed to count on isn't there to help you guys out, because Daniel left, the violence was still there, the bullshit was still there, and like Dan and I are good. It's taken a long time to get there. So I think that's one of the things that people don't take into account is the work that we had to do as adults to unpack our trauma as kids. But like Dan mentioned, he was inside when our brother died. He was inside when our mum was dying, and I had to find the money to pay for the guards, to pay for him to come and spend time with our mum. Do you know what I mean? Like the impact that it has on your family, I don't think people take into account. Because I was also taking care of our youngest brother who was 10 at the time, our sister who was 17, not yet 18, and trying to honour my mum's wishes as well. So having to find the money, still pay and care for the people that I needed to, but allow him the space to come when he was where he was because of the choices that he made. Right? I think the last time that Daniel was in, he had gone out, and then that home invasion happened, and I said to him, I'm fucking over it. I'm not coming to see you. Because like going into prison is awful. Like I feel like I'm a criminal. You have to give your ID, you have to have your car checked out, you get checked out. Like it's not a nice environment. And I know that because I refused to go, our younger brother didn't have a means to go and see him either. And our dad wasn't living here in Wellington at the time either. I also refused to put money into his account. Because again, why am I having to pay for him when he made the choice that got him where he is? But who do you rely on when you're inside? How do you get money? Don't answer that, bro. But like, if you need money, generally, people always reach out to their family, but they don't stop to think about the consequence on their family. Daniel going back inside and losing the relationship that he had with his son also impacted on us as well. So we haven't really been able to have a relationship with him. Pretty much, yeah, it impacted all of us. And Daniel had to work hard. Like, his relationships with all of our siblings aren't, I guess, 100% same over. Like, we would want them to be, but where they are, it's because Daniel's had to put the effort in. Daniel's the one who's made the effort consistently to contact, respected people's wishes if they wanted to say, oh, we're not quite there yet, we don't want to engage with you, we don't want to talk to you. And he's had to respect that and allow people to meet him or allow him to come and meet them when they're ready. The last time he got out, how long were you on probie for?
Last one?
The last one.
Oh, last one. 12 months.
12 months.
Oh, no, 9 months.
And it took my auntie to vouch for him to be released. Otherwise, you probably would have stayed in and served it all, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's only 3 months.
Only 3 months. Yeah. But I guess from my point of view, he's the one out there doing the crime, but we're also paying for it too. So he'll go and serve a lag, but we're the ones who suffer too. Because we're the ones who also have to come face to face with victims as well, you know, as a family member. And I remember when we were younger, he'd go out and do stuff, and then he'd bring those people to our house. Some of those people he would bring to the house, you know, and I'm like, not nice people, your family, we tolerate you, but you're bringing people who aren't safe to be around the younger ones. Do you know what I mean? But there was no thought process there about our safety or things like that.
Who was?
Yeah, I question that, but you know, there's always a differing of opinions. Am I proud of my brother now? Yes. I'm proud of Daniel because it has been 11 years. I know that we have a lot of conversations when he feels like it, because he's not usually a man of many words. But we've had a lot of talks about it and how hard it is for him because it's become so ingrained, the behaviour, the responses. I get angry, I'll punch someone out. Or I'll figure a way to get justice or revenge on them, right? So it's hard work every day. But I'm proud of him because he chooses to stay on the right side and to stay out and to be with his family. But watching him go through the system when I was younger is one of the main reasons why I sit on the side that I do. I think all of us had the choice of going down a similar path to Daniel, but I chose education. So one of the things that our parents always drummed into us, particularly our dad, was education, and that's because our dad came from Samoa, where there weren't a lot of options for him. He had to leave school at Form 1 because the family needed people, they needed them to work in order for them to survive. He came out to New Zealand when he was 17 and he wanted a better life for us. And so for me, I was like, okay, I'll get my education. And so I did. And that's why I work in youth justice as well, because if I can provide opportunities for young people or work along social workers who can provide opportunities for young people to make a change and not end up where he's sitting and not end up when you're 30 looking at, holy shit, I need to change my life, whereas you can possibly make those changes now. That's what I wanted to do. I also wanted to reduce the statistics because Māori and Pacifica young people and adults are too overrepresented in the stats. Particularly the bad stats like prison, youth justice, all of that sort of jazz. I wanted a change for our young people, a different future. So yeah, that's why I do what I do, and like I do conversate with my bro about the choices that I made, and he's told me how proud he is of me for being able to do this mahi and provide opportunities. So yeah, one day at a time. Oh. Anybody got questions other than Crystal? Jokes.
Question. Might sound dumb. What can you spend money on in prison?
Food. Well, there's a range of things.
But is it stuff from prison or from other prisons?
Both.
Or did they have a shop?
Yeah.
But yeah. Got your own shops.
I told you it might sound like dumb vendor. I was like, oh gosh, they have way more rights than I thought they did.
Like,
Yes.
depending on what currency is, it's depending on what you have, what you can get, what you're after. It also depends on who you are too. Like if a captain comes into a prison and he's in there, then he's got his crew, and then he'll go from the outside to the inside. Then there's many ways of traffic in and out.
Crystal?
So the 11 years that you have been out in the community and basically reforming your life, what are the consequences that you've had to face with that significant criminal history?
The consequences, to be honest, I've been a bit blessed in some scenarios. I think it comes down to the support network you put around you. Yeah, if you've got good people around you who walk with you and not walk for you, they help out a lot. Doors open. There are a lot of programs out there that for people to use now than there was before. You just gotta research. Yeah, there's a lot of, like you guys got the Kokiri, they got their skills and what they can access to, and their connections can access to open up wider doors. If you want to go down whatever path you want to go down, depends on what you want and what you want out of life. Like, what do you like doing, and then how do you enhance that, and who do you put around there to help you to get where you want. Your dreams. Dreams are attainable if you put an action plan in to get them. Yeah, it's just about your desire and your need. consequences.
You can't travel as freely as you want to.
Oh, I can travel. Like, I know people who have got criminal records as long as mine to go overseas. It's not a, there's ways of doing things, you just gotta you gotta outthink the system.
That's not what we're trying to encourage you.
Well, if you do it legit,
My question.
if you do it legit, you can the system, you can bend the rules, you just can't break them.
Stop. Stop.
That's the beauty about it. I mean, you're actually telling it as it is.
Yeah, like,
Okay? So,
like legislation is black and white,
yeah.
but it's also up to interpretation,
Mm.
right? So you can interpret something and you can run with it until somebody says you can't do it. Then you stop, yeah? Then you find another loophole. This is how rich people get rich. They look for loopholes.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? They're not gonna tell you the secrets because then you come up with them. So you've got to do your research. You've got to understand the system for what it is, and learn how to use the system to your benefit, rather than trying to break the system, because the system is not designed to break. It's just designed to bend the flow. It's like a river. You can bend it, you can move it, you can adjust it to what you want, and you're sweet. You know. Someone puts a roadblock up, go around it, under it, over it, just as long as you're not committing crime. That's pretty much what it is.
So, here's a question, because I don't know if you touched on it. With your criminal history, could there be any repercussions for you moving forward?
Oh, there's always. Like, the biggest thing is the things that you get away with will always come back to bite you in the bum. Yeah. So if you think that you got away with something and you're doing really well and you succeed, and then someone turns up and says, "Well, hey, I remember you did this." You know what I mean? Like, if you build your foundation on what is good and right, no one can shake it. Yeah. If you build it, if it's solid and it's proper. Anyone can come in and test it, it's not going to move. You know what I mean? It's what you build your foundation on. I've built my foundation on God, and that's what's helping me to stay out of trouble. Because, honestly, straight up, there's so many people that I would love to put a shit on.
Don't say that.
Well, it's true. Like, people will always test you. Yeah? It's how you respond.
So, yes, without violence. So, what about that thing where if you could easily be put back recalled?
Nah, I can never do it. It only has to be fresh charges. Like I said, historic. It's probably the best that they can do for me is historic. And that's the sad thing too, is like, cause if you try and change your life, you always have that doubt in your mind. That sense. And
Do
then
you
when I'm
just
pretty
got
quick.
told off?
Carrying crystal outside of week is the same
Yes.
And that's where we'll stop there.
We were working on a question.
When you get to times where you're being tested, what are some of the tools that you've learned over your time to deal with those, whatever it is, whether it be people pissing you off or...
At the start of the 11 years, vengeance.
Yeah.
Yeah, vengeance. I will plot and plan how to get back to prison.
But now?
Now,
How heavy was it to carry that hate?
no. No, because don't forget, I'm transitioning from, not being good to being good. So the transition after a while, it will start to weigh down, so I will try and justify what I'm doing. So if I can find a justification that is good on getting vengeance, then it wouldn't feel good because I've got a cause, I've got a righteous cause on order, for brimstone and hellfire. But letting it go, like for me now, it's just like, okay, this person's probably having a bad day, and he's picked on the wrong person, because I'm having a bad day. I've got to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to work. So, but you've got to go on that grind. And that's the thing about doing it easy and doing it hard is that easy the money comes, money goes. Doing it hard, you've got to work to get where you are, to the savings, to the financial backing, to even looking at buying a house and all that sort of stuff. But once you do, I know the cops are not going to take it unless they plant something in my house. You know what I mean? Like, other than that, it should be fine. I don't have that worry about cops coming in, raiding me at 6 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. Oh, you get up, when you're under arrest, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. You know what I mean? We're taking everything from you. Go to prison, then next minute you're in the arrears, you owe debt. You come out of prison, you're still in debt, the debt's gone high because you haven't paid the debt, so the interest don't go away, they don't care. At the end of the day, they want their paper. And when you come out of prison, you're coming out of the negative, and then you're drowning. So what do when you're drowning? You try and find a quick fix to get yourself above water, and then you just repeat the process, and then you go back to prison, and then prison becomes easy because the thing about prison is that you don't pay power, you don't pay rent, you don't pay food. You know what I mean? Hot water, you can have a shower all day long if you want. Sauna was what we used to do. Just put the thing, turn the hot water on, and just, go to the gym every day, you know what I mean? Train every day. You're sorted. If you want your drugs, you go to your local drug corner, buy your drugs, have a sesh, relax. Pretty much. That's the life. But the problem is that that's not reality. Because when you come back into reality, everything hits you all at once. Hey, where's my money? And everyone's asking for it. Next minute you got debt collectors coming around. Next minute you got people losing furniture, beds getting taken away from the kids and all that sort of stuff. Or you become a crackhead and you just get wasted because that's your reality in life, because it's far easier to get wasted and not have to deal with the consequences of reality of life. So yeah, it's damned if you do. But again, if you put the work in now, you can be anything that you want in this world. Anything. The world's an oyster. All you got to do is choose the right path, follow it, surround yourself with good people that will help you and enhance you and add value to your walk. And you can make it.
Good question. So you were talking about, like, from Bridget, your perspective was around how that affected you when Daniel was inside, and you also spoke about how Daniel you take your friends or associates, whether they were home, to your whānau, and sort of Bridget was questioning your thought process around that. What was your thought process around taking these people that you were obviously in that sort of situation with home to the whānau that
I think there's only one mistake that I made for bringing 2 people around, but other people that did bring around were my boys. So if I went to prison, I always had eyes on my family. I made sure that no one would go near my family. I made sure that if anyone went from my family, that I had contact with very, very simple stuff for me. Or I would say, hey, bro, get back for a visit, and then Ivory's coming in, so I would go see the staff. Oh, hey, mate, can you get my mate over here? And then we'll sort it out that way.
Well, my brain went straight there as well. Like when I thought about it, I thought, if you trust them with 100%, so you would obviously take it to whānau because you have that trust, but then as a whānau member, you didn't have that trust. So I could,
Smoke it? Go see Auntie Katie.
Sure.
No other questions?
No more questions? We're good?
And cut.